Turning now to Mr. McLean again. You have the floor for 5 minutes, sir.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and good follow on there. Thank you, Mr. Hannaford, for that, talking about Germany and their role in the world right now. Germany came here asking for LNG, and our Prime Minister said there is no business case for LNG, which was loudly contradicted by every business interest in Canada. So in as much as they would have come here and said, can you get us some LNG? We said no, apparently. And yet there is an MOU here for hydrogen for their chemical processes, not for their power processes. This is what it's going to be meant for going forward. This isn't the production of hydrogen for energy purposes. It's production of hydrogen for chemical processes. I'm going to reiterate that too. That's my understanding with meeting one of the proponents. If we're going to meet the world's needs, we're talking about $50 per MCF equivalent that was paid for natural gas in Europe this summer. Your modeling shows a natural gas price of $3.79 here, and that's a 2020 number, I appreciate, in Canada. If we multiply that by the amount of they're paying for gas over in Europe right now, it's an astronomical number. But on an inflationary number, think about what we're talking about here, because your numbers show that if we actually use green hydrogen in Canada, the amount is 20 times higher for energy production than it is with natural gas. 20 times. So $3.79 versus $62.60 per equivalent unit of energy. Can you tell us what you think effect this is going to have on inflation for Canadians that need to power their homes?
Mr. Chair, several elements to that question. First of all, the ongoing modeling is something that we continues to evolve. We mentioned earlier that we're continuing to have conversations with colleagues at ECCC, with the CER, and with outside sources to make sure that we have refined models as to what the future of hydrogen is. With respect to LNG, I guess a couple of points. One of them is, as we look at the sort of next steps with respect to.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Hannaford, I'm not asking for input on LNG. Was just stating what happened in the news with our elected officials. What I'm asking you here is the cost to Canadian consumers of switching to a green hydrogen industry development that replaces a natural gas energy source. And if your numbers are right, it's 20 times more expensive. Is that correct?
As I say, Mr. Chair, our ongoing review of our modeling is to be as accurate as possible. We'll see the outcomes of that with our next.
Well, I'm asking, your model here shows it's 20 times more expensive. Is that correct? If it's incorrect, let me know.
Well, the numbers that are reflected in the report are from 2020.
Yes. Do you think the numbers changed now?
I think that there have been
62.60 per MCF equivalent for the production of green hydrogen. I think that number will go up.
One of the reasons why we're continuing to have the conversations with experts is to make sure that we have the most accurate numbers possible.
And I deal with the experts here at a group called Transition Accelerator that's actually moving incrementally towards getting hydrogen into our economy as a solution. But your transformative approach was a Hail Mary, throw something at the wall, which should never have been considered by a serious government department. So I am challenging you on that, why you ever went with that scenario.
Mr. Chair, the intention of the report was to show full potential. We have taken a series of tangible steps over the course of the last several years, including significant investments in the production of hydrogen through natural gas sources. That's concurrent with steps that have been taken by provincial governments and will be reflected then in sort of further work that we do with the provincial and territorial governments through the regional table approach. And this is all with a view to being as tangible as possible as to how we take steps with respect to the evolution of our energy markets.
30 seconds,
Okay.
Mr. McLean.
Well, we've talked about costs. We've talked about infrastructure. We've talked about the actual delivery and the net negative energy proposed in green hydrogen. I think that have I got another round here, Mr. Chair?
No, you don't.
Okay. The effects on Canadians here, of course, is going to be severe. Would you acknowledge that, Mr. Hannaford, that there's a lot we don't see here as far as our results? And the cost effect on Canadians is going to be huge if we move in this direction. Is inflation at all a part of your concern?
We're absolutely mindful of cost as a general matter with respect to energy policy, and I would say that the announcements with respect to things like the heat pumps recently were with a view to energy costs for individuals. I would say that we view hydrogen as a matter of potential, as I say, not only for the application domestically, but also because there is a global market that is forming here, and that has the potential of having significant economic benefits for Canada.
Thank you. And just a clarification, Mr. McLean, there will be another round for the Conservatives. I'm told you might be taking that, so we might see you again.